Hi, everyone. We're going to get started with our continuation of Got Paper, Got Math. Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself quickly again?
I'm still Lisa Grant with the Early Math Project.
And I'm still Carolyn Pfister with the California Early Math Project. Thank you for joining us for part of our lunch recess today. So we're going to be involved with some activities that we'll call Kirigami. It's what I would like to refer to as a close cousin of origami. It involves paper cutting, but also some paper it involves paper folding and also paper cutting. So you're going to need to have both a pair of scissors and some paper on hand. We'd like you to try the activity and contribute to the chat. Again, it would be really great if you share in our chat what you're noticing and what you're wondering today as we're doing this, and how you might use this with children. Any vocabulary that you think that you could pull out that relates to math or sequencing or numbers. That's all stuff that we would like to share, mostly how you would use this with young children. So let's dive in. We're going to start off really simple, and we're going to look at symmetry with halves. And we're going to start with any piece of paper that you have. The size of it really isn't all that important. And what I would like you to do is to start by folding your paper either lengthwise or widthwise. Again, it doesn't really matter, so that you have two equal halves. So, just starting off like this. So after you've got your paper folded in half, I'd like to encourage you to think about a design that you might want to have. Probably that first one will look real familiar if you've made Valentine hearts in the past. You can make this as intricate or as simple as you want. And I want you to think about the age of the child that you might do this with. For example, this is a little bit more intricate. I've got a dragonfly that I've cut out. It shows a line of symmetry down the middle, but a very simple paper heart would be great, something that a very young child might do, maybe a bee. Few examples. So let's take a moment and cut an example or two. You do one and if there's time, see if you can try another one. I think I'm going to maybe attempt another dragonfly because I really enjoyed making that the other day. I'm seeing that some of you in the chat are talking a little bit about the event challenge. So I'm going to give a little bit more information about that. There are about, I don't know, a few more than 40 questions in there. And when you go along the left-hand side of the toolbar, you're going to encounter something that says Event Challenge. If you click on that, it will open up those questions, and you can select the question that you want to answer. And it asks for a code or a passcode. The passcode is the answer that you're supposed to be doing. We don't give you that passcode. That's what you're supposed to be figuring out from the challenge. And so, for example, if you think the answer to a question is that the Early Math Symposiums, the next one is on October the 5th, you would enter October the 5th and you would hit the submit button. And then by doing that, it would allow you, if that answer is correct, to get the points in the event challenge. And if it's not correct, then it would allow you to submit another answer. So I hope that helps with any confusion with that. It's an optional thing, and if you have one that you're having a problem with, maybe try a different one and see if you can answer that one. All right, so here is my dragonfly. Lisa, has anybody added anything maybe into the Jamboard? Any examples before we move on?
Not yet. I think that might be your butterfly.
I did put a butterfly in there earlier.
So there's a butterfly and a heart.
Okay.
And someone said there is a lot of shape vocabulary to explore with this.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. And let's try something that is a little bit more complicated. We're going to try some symmetry with quarters. And we're going to start with a square piece of paper. If you have a rectangle to begin with, you're going to have to convert that into a square. You wouldn't have to, but might make it easier. And so I've done this like I did before previously. I've made this rectangular fold, making the two sides of the paper line up. And then I'm going to cut off this tail.
Someone is saying they can't see you cutting.
Okay, that's a great point. So I had this and I cut it apart, and I will absolutely do it again. So, I'm folding the piece of paper, and then the place where this triangle meets up with this overhanging portion, the rectangle at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that apart. And this piece that I cut off, it might be great for doing more symmetry activities, that you can just maybe cut something smaller. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to open this up. I have my piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half, lining that up pretty well. And after I've got this folded in half in this direction, I'm going to fold it in half again. So I've got a square. And you'll notice on mine, because we did have that diagonal line that I do, it is showing up on there, but that's not a problem. And what I'd like to encourage you to do now is to think of a design that you can cut from this. You might be able to kind of predict what these would look like when they're unfolded. And you can make this as simple or as complicated as you want. This one in on the far right probably looks like it might have a rabbit and some carrots. Looks like maybe some floral things and leaves in the middle. You can try one of these designs or try something of your own. So I think that with this one, I'll probably try and cut a 4-leaf clover. I'm choosing that because I know that those come in 4 parts. And so I'm going to start by rounding off the corners of this, cutting all 4 sections of the paper together at the same time. Really a simple design. And I think that because I would like to have maybe a little bit of ornamentation on the middle parts of the leaf, I think I'll cut something out of the sides as well. And it's always fun to open these up and see what you get.
Yes, Maria, you can do different shapes. You can make up your own.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do make different shapes. And particularly if you're planning on sharing them, it would make it very interesting to see what you are doing.
Yeah, if you get a chance, take a picture and post it to the Jamboard. If you scroll down below your screen, there's a link to the Jamboard. And there's also one at the top of this chat.
I'm going to try one more.
Oh, I like that one. That's cool.
I think I will try and do a butterfly and see if I can make that work out. Insects and leaves and objects from nature are often really fun because they have a lot of symmetry to begin with.
Mm. True. Colleen says snowflakes.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. think about the math that we're noticing here, and especially vocabulary, and how you might use this with children.
So I've cut out some butterflies that are connected at the bottom. I found that when I've done these, that often if I cut too much out at the bottom, it leaves them kind of fragile. They don't hold together so well. So I always try and keep some connection point at the bottom. Lisa, is there anybody who has shared anything in on the Jamboard that they've cut out?
Let's see. No,
Not yet.
not yet.
Do
I
people
will
need?
say that in my experience, it gets better as you practice it more um, and experiment. Oh, Carolyn, that's beautiful. Oh, wow. Good job, Rosa. Can you post that on the Jamboard? Love to see it.
Lisa, if you've got something to show on the Jamboard, we can pause. But if not,
Not so far.
okay. Well, you know what? If people want to add something to it, they can. Let's move on because we don't have quite as much time this time, and I want to make certain that we have time to do some of the more complex things. So we're going to,
Thomas mentioned decorations for the holidays.
yeah, that would be fun.
That would be awesome.
So we're going to move on and take a look at some designs that involve more folds. And the next one that we're going to do, and we contemplated whether or not we would do 8, 12, or 16, and we decided that maybe the 12 sections is a little bit trickier. And so we wanted to show a way to fold these that we think will allow you to make a design based with 12 sections. So as we did before, we're going to start again with a square. And I'm going to fold just like before, this corner down.
Carolyn,
Yes,
we have a request if you could make your screen bigger.
I think I can.
Maybe the two shot, and I could toggle myself off.
Oh, no, don't tog yourself. Don't go anywhere. So here
Oh,
I am.
the board is full again. So if you've posted something on the Jamboard, maybe jump off so somebody else can jump on. Apparently, there's a limit to the number of people who can be on at one time.
We will have to work on addressing that because that's frustrating, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So I've created my square again by folding one side of my paper down, and I've cut it out. And I have got a triangle now. What I'd like you to do is to take the triangle that you have and fold it from side to side so it becomes a smaller triangle. Are we good to go along?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you want to tilt your camera down to show your hands.
Okay. So this is what I've got, and then I'm going to fold. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what
Sorry.
I think I'm gonna
Oh,
pop
that's
this
better.
back up again real quickly because I want people to see what I've got. So I've got this triangle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make this into a cone shape. And the goal is that you can see that those two images on the side, we want to have an image that looks like that when we're done. And to do that, we're going to twist this around, and it does take some manipulation. I'm going to go ahead and put mine back on screen again so you can see it bigger. So kind of folding this so that I want to keep this sharp point at the bottom, but at the same time, I want the edges of this to touch as closely as they can the sides of the cone. And it does take some manipulation. And honestly, if you try it a couple of times, it does get easier. And once you can see that I'm kind of flattening this cone as I go and also trying to keep that point as sharp as possible at the bottom. And when I'm satisfied, what I'm going to do is flatten it. And I want to, as much as possible, keep these edges that I can see so that they're snug. If they're big gaps, you're not going to be as happy with your finished product. I'm going to do that one more time
Oh, wow.
because I do think that it's tricky enough that it deserves another look. I'm just going to get back to the square really quickly again. So I've got my triangle. I'm going to fold it in half. Again, precision with this is important. And now that I've got that like that, I'm going to start forming this cone, bending this over, keeping my point straight there.
And I will say that if you're having difficulty with this, it does get better with practice.
Absolutely.
I think the important part is that point at the end, right?
I think actually, Lisa, I think the important thing is that these pieces line up along the sides so that the interior portions that you have folded in are as close as you can make them, also at the same time keeping that point. And that's really why I wanted to do it, a couple of times,
Yeah.
so that it's pretty clear what we're doing. So we've got this piece of paper so that it looks like this on one side, and on the opposite side, it looks like this. I'd like you to cut along this line that you can see that goes across from side to side. And we're going to remove that piece.
Kind of looks like a dovetail, huh?
Yeah. And when you're done, now it looks a bit like an ice cream cone. The reason why I cut these off is because these pieces that had been sticking out just a moment ago, I don't have all the layers of paper underneath these. And so I want to make certain that my design, it's the same throughout. And you can practice them if you want to with cutting them, leaving them on and taking them off. But I think that for this, we want to cut them off. So I'm going to pop this up again so that you can see some of these designs. These are some activities or some patterns that you could, if you wanted to, go ahead and practice. The area that you see that is in blue on your screen, that's the paper that would be remaining. And the area that's in white is what we would be cutting out. There are several thicknesses of paper, so it is going to take some work to get the scissors through there, but it does work well. And again, like what I said before, you don't really want to remove all of this paper at the bottom. Otherwise, you're going to have a large hole and it won't work as well. So please select one of those designs, or if you want to create something of your own, do so. And if you can, I know that there are some challenges with the Padlet, but if you can, we'd love to see some of your designs on Padlet. So I'm going to go ahead and
On the Jamboard, not Padlet.
oh, on Jamboard. Thanks.
I do have one I could show you. It's really cool.
Please show it.
Okay. It kind of reminds me of an owl or a screen. I remember how to do this. Can you see that? Maybe not.
Not yet.
Okay, I'm getting there. There. Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow.
And this one just came up. That's cool. And then some butterflies. Awesome.
Oh, those are amazing.
Look at that. That's so intricate. I don't know if it's an owl or a dragon. Could be either. This looks like a mask.
It's
That's
beautiful.
awesome. Very beautiful. Okay, I will toggle that off for you.
I love doing these because it often is such a surprise what
Oh,
you're going to get when you open them up.
in the chat, someone suggests using origami paper because it's not as thick. Or you can use round coffee filters.
Ooh.
What a great idea. I'm going to try that.
Okay, here's the great reveal. I have no idea what I've cut.
Maybe make you bigger.
I can make me bigger, but I'll do it just I'll let me get it unfolded first because if people are using those directions to cut from, I don't want to remove it from the screen. Oh, I actually like that one.
Oh, wow.
I will pop it up for just a moment. So
Reminds me of coral or like a Celtic design.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Okay, I'm gonna take me off and put the directions back up.
Let's see what we got on our. I'm finding it's important to refresh the
The Jamboard.
Jamboard so that I get the newest stuff, which is interesting to me. You'd think it would just go. Okay. Nothing new on that I can see anyway.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Lisa, I think that so that we can conclude by 12:40, which is we need to be off here by then. Let's go ahead and move on. And if anybody has designs they want to send to us, we would love to see them. We've shared our contact information. So I wanted to just point out that you really need to, when you're doing this, consider the age of the person that you're working with and make certain that it's well suited to where they are developmentally. And that last challenge that we gave you probably is something that second and third graders, I don't know, maybe first graders would do with some comfort. But there are some easier ways to fold the paper too, with multiple sections and get some fun results. This design that I'm showing you, I'll pop it onto the screen, for example. Has been made, and there are 8 folds with that, and that's a real easy way to fold the paper. And let me, pop this over, and with this one, I started with my square. I folded the paper in half again, and then I just made that triangular fold at the end. So something that would be a lot more accessible for somebody than trying to roll that cone. And if you wanted to attempt something that was just a little bit more complex, you could do something with 16 sections, which is, let me see if I can find something with 16 sections.
She has a whole collection there at her
Well,
side.
I've been doing these. So this one was cut with
Oh,
16
I love that
sections.
one.
So they get very ornate when you do it with the more sections. And so with this, I just folded the paper in half again, and then I folded into a triangle, and then that triangle was folded again. And when you do that fold, you get that additional flap at the bottom, and all I did was cut that off. So again, really a lot simpler than the 12 folds, but anyway, for you to choose what works best for you in your situation.
And every time you're folding it in half, you're increasing by an exponent.
Yeah.
So that's 2 to the 4th,
Yeah.
16. Nice.
So
There's a lot of suggestions for different types of paper, like newspaper print paper, something that's thinner that would be easier to cut through,
right.
probably. Great ideas.
Yeah. I love the origami paper idea too.
Mm-hmm.
that somebody had shared earlier. So we're hoping that in the chat that you would just take a moment and tell us whether or not you would try any of these paper cutting activities with children. If so, what would you do? And tell us a little bit about their age range. And tell
Mhm.
us about the math you noticed and the math vocabulary, anything that you heard that you thought that you could pull out. And Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us what people share in the chat.
Someone thought it might be a bit complicated for preschool and TK, but I was thinking that one fold to show symmetry. They could do that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Some of these just simple folding activities, like I have something that looks a little bit like a fall pumpkin, and I like this because it's simple. It's just the one line. It's the one line of symmetry with this, and it's kind of great for the small motor, fine motor skills. Practice with the scissors, and they may not look exactly like this, but it's still fun. And I think children get a lot of I don't know. They get a lot of enjoyment out of predicting what something is going to look like, kind of that opening up at the end and seeing what they've created.
In addition to fine motor, Rosa suggests it's good for hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
And we are talking about symmetry. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yes, you do have to be mindful of the ages you're working with. Absolutely.
Always, always. Yeah. Well, we want to be mindful that you have a session to get to very soon. So we are going to be popping off now. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of the day. If you want to get a hold of us for any reason, please reach out. We always love to hear from people, particularly if they have ideas for future events or topics they want to hear presented.
People are asking about the resources, the PowerPoint.
Yeah, this PowerPoint and the directions, they are going to be posted. They're available in the session materials. We'll put them up on the website.
Our website.
Yeah, yep, the
Early
Early Math
Math
Project
CA,
website.
earlymathca.org.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.